The movie X-Men The Last Stand came out in 2006. This movie finally ends off the series that started in year 2000 with the first X-Men. And now this movie is basically just the final battle. You have Magneto's army of mutants versus the X-Men. You know, the Wolverine, Magneto, Professor X, all of them. Well, not Professor X, because he dies in the movie. Anyways, we start off this movie right after the second one, or X2, or whatever you want to call it. And we have a training montage, which foreshadows what will happen later in the movie, which is fun to see, because, like, at the beginning, you have this training montage, and then at the end, during the final battle, you look at it, and it's like, hey, that's from the beginning of the movie, man. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Kind of coincidence how everything was exactly the same. But hey, I'm not to judge. It was a cool moment. Still, and now here we have a new dilemma in this movie, because we always have a new dilemma between the humans and the mutants are split on it. There's a bunch of different things, but the split in this movie is a new surgery, basically an injection that will turn you from mutants and cure you of your mutant powers and turn you into a human. So obviously the mutants are split on it. You have basically Xavier's whole X-Men and everything. They're basically just like, okay, if you want to get it done, that's your choice. We don't really care if you get it or not. And then you have Magneto, Magneto and his army that he assembles throughout the movie, and he basically has the idea that, wait, hey, you know, that humans are only doing this because they're scared of us mutants, and they just don't like us not being human. And, like, we don't like humans. So, yeah. And he basically just makes a whole overpowered army out of this, which eventually leads to the final battle, which we will talk about, well, at the end. And Rogue eventually has this dilemma, because, like, she's just there in Xavier's school, and she sees all this happening, and it's like, should I go for this? So she eventually does, but then, like, and then she has the whole mental in her mind, it's like, I can't do this. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I gave up everything, and I wouldn't be able to go back. This is a life-changing thing, and what should I do? Because her whole life, she hasn't really been able to have a connection with another human, because she'll basically just kill them if she kisses them, so it creates just a disconnect between the rest of, basically, the world, and the population of humans and mutants alike. And so, yeah, you get why she would want to do it, but she doesn't by the end. And we have these guns, because the military has learned that Magneto cannot be trusted, and they know that he can control metals. So the army has changed all their weapons into basically just plastic, and they put these little needles that turn you into a human. They put all this medicine and all this stuff into a gun, so it shoots out these needles, and then you're turned into a human. Mystique is eventually, over Magneto's travels, is turned into a human, and Magneto basically just leaves her there because, well, she's not part of the cause anymore, as far as he's concerned. I mean, she's not a mutant. And he even admits that he doesn't want to let her leave, but the cause and his compass basically just demands it because of what he is fighting for at that moment. Eventually, Professor X does suffer a sad death in this movie, because he ends up, well, sacrificing himself for the rest of the X-Men. So then that gives them the motivation to keep on fighting. And even Magneto is saddened by this, because they do have this brotherly bond, and, you know, they really care for each other when they put aside their differences, but they still do have these differences, which drives them apart every time they try to come together, which is just a really sad reality between the two characters in this world that, yeah, one of them died, and it's sad. It's really sad. So, and we do get a Juggernaut reference in this movie, which is fun to see, because he doesn't get a huge part, but we still get to see a little bit of the Juggernaut, which is fun, because, like, everybody likes the Juggernaut, man. He's just a good character, fun character, whatever. And eventually the military is trying to close in on Magneto, but too late, because his final plan is in action. He's gonna go to basically the Alcatraz of mutants, where they're holding this one mutant in Pacific hostage, and they have to go in and get him. So they basically Magneto does is, he takes apart the Golden Gate Bridge, like a Lego set, and then puts it back together to where it leads to this island. And it's just this awesome battle, because it's going to be cool, no matter what happens. A bunch of mutants just fighting on this island. I mean, bro, they even moved the Golden Gate Bridge and everything. They just freaking took it apart. The mutants just took it apart and put it back together. It's just freaking so cool what they did in this movie. Again, it's bigger. It's not necessarily better, but it's still pretty big. And they go into this final battle. And it plays a lot like a chess match, because you have the pawns, and it's strategic, and you get to see Magneto's strategic skills in battle that we don't really get to see in any of the other ones, so it's nice that we get to see it here. And so they do fight, and at the end of this movie, it does foreshadow what happened at the beginning of the movie. Again, the training sequence, where at the end, they distract Magneto while somebody runs past and injects him with the medicine. It's such a satisfying moment, because this whole trilogy, from the first one to now, what Magneto has been fighting against is humans. So now seeing him become a human, it's just insane. And it's just good. It's this freaking satisfying reveal, seeing him, like, do all this, and then just being turned into a human. I don't know how everybody felt about this, but I definitely liked it. I love this movie. I love the X-Men movies. But yeah, guys, I definitely enjoyed this one. What do you guys think about it? If y'all enjoyed this video or any of my other content, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.